Most Egyptologists and anthropologists, archaeologists of the Eurocentric persuasion will say that Egypt is in Africa. They had to concede that, but then they still draw the line by saying that they weren't Africans like that. In other words, they weren't dark-skinned people. And of course, this is all part of the Great Deception. And the reality is that if they give up Egypt, ancient Kemet, if they give that up and say that that was a part of Black Africa, then they will also have to give up Israel. And that's why they draw the line at Egypt, because if they give up Egypt, they've got to give up Israel.
Now, we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai. Okay? This is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right? This is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluach Africani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluach Africani, which means that Israel is northeast Africa.
Without question, we are in northeast Africa. We are landlocked to Egypt, with the exception of the Suez Canal, which was a man-made ditch, a boundary now between. In fact, it's not even really a boundary anymore, since Egypt has reclaimed the Sinai Peninsula. But nevertheless, even those of us who are Pan-Africanists in our thinking and Afrocentric, we forget and we leave off that portion of northeast Africa and don't want to claim anything beyond that.
Europeans classified this area as the Middle East. You know, and then since this the Middle East, the other question, where the Middle West? Where the Middle North and where the Middle South? They don't have no geographical terms like that. And the only reason why they use that term, Middle East, because it disconnects the proper connotation that should go with describing this land geographically.
Hi, shalom from Israel. This is Ola, the daughter of Jethro. And I just heard that you black people that was stolen from Africa to America, that you don't know who you are. But you are the children of Yahweh, the children of Israel. And I'm telling you, you have to come back to your homeland, here to Zion, to Jerusalem.
Hello everybody. This video is to show you who the true Hebrews or Jews are. Your true Jews or your true Yehud are the so-called black person.
I know the black people here are the true Hebrew Israelites.
And I'd like to now bring up another interesting place that you're finding descendants of the Israelites, but may not necessarily be from the 10 tribes, but will also play a role. And shouldn't be overlooked. It's a very serious scenario. Is in Africa. Africa has perhaps hundreds of millions of people with this identity right now of being from the people of Israel. When the Romans conquered Judea a few hundred years after the tribes of Israel went into exile, perhaps millions of Judeans were sold into slavery, into Africa, into Rome, deep into Africa. And if you look now, you're seeing people who are most likely the descendants of those slaves.
I just wanted to come to you to impart some knowledge onto you about who the true biblical Hebrew Israelites are. Bloodline-wise, they are the so-called African Americans.
The wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha in the 5th chapter talks about how Jacob, how the heathen is going to be amazed and confounded when they realize that the so-called black man is that chosen line.
Now, if I were to tell you that blacks, for as many centuries as whites have been superior, if you want, in the Western world, that for just as many centuries blacks were superior, you'd probably find that hard to believe. And you'd wonder how such a fact could be hidden. And the answer is, again, collusion. The whites wouldn't want to admit such a thing, because whites like to feel superior and like to think that their superiority is somehow permanent, decreed by God. As for blacks, if you look into the black black civilizations that we're going to take a look at momentarily, you find something pretty interesting. You find that those civilizations actually arose as Jewish civilizations, later to become...
From West Africa, they have been taken as slaves to America. Brothers and sisters, blacks of America, it's you. You are the true Hebrews. You are the true Hebrews from the Bible. America gonna do everything, gonna invest as much money as it has, gonna fight as much wars as they can, gonna invite as much weapons as they can just to hide this away from you. Gonna take Israel, gonna bring white people here and to tell you these are the Jews, gonna kill you, gonna kill Arabs, gonna mistreat white people like this guy, just to tell you this lie that you are nobody and we are the Jews with all the history and so on. It has been deleted, your history. You don't know who you are. Don't forget about it. This is why, because America has been taking your history away, never to find out that it's all about you. I'm telling you this, please. I don't ask you to come to Israel and to start a revolution. I'm just asking you to start thinking this way, to believe me a little bit. Because I'm living in Israel and I'm part of this injustice. I really believe that people like me and you, we can bring the justice.
Because as the Gentiles, we do need you. We need you to come and pray because you are our Savior. You're the one that was chosen by Yahweh to live in this land, not the Jewish people, it's you. You were stolen from Africa, they deceived you, they told you that you are slaves, but you actually the children of Israel. And it's time just to come back. Come for your people, come back for us, come back for the whole Gentiles, because only you gonna save us. So please come back to
Here I stand in the Mila, the Jewish quarters of the Medina of Esrauya, formerly known as Magador. In the 18th century, before and even to a time period after, this portion of the fortified city was home to a thriving Israelite community. Today, as you see, it's only just a thing of the past. Although people live here, all of whom are Muslim, the only remembrance, a reminder, are the derelict buildings and heaps of rubble. Who were these Jews of the Medina in Magador, who according to history were great tradesmen and were favored and respected by some of the greatest sultans of the past, including Muhammad bin Abdullah, the grandson of the famous Black Sultan, Musa Ismail ibn Sharif. The answer to the identity of the Jews who once lived here during the period of the great sultans isn't found thousands of miles away in what is known as the modern state of Israel, where mass migration from Morocco has taken place, but right here in the Medina walls. Here lies the true identity of the Israelite community that once lived here, in the ancient synagogue that has been restructured and rebuilt. Here lies the truth that many seek after. Inside this restored synagogue, there are pictures everywhere. Historical evidence is right before my eyes. This extraordinary building has much to be desired. Here inside the synagogue, known as the synagogue of Hamim Pinto, you find some very interesting pictures of the Jews of Magador. Upon closer examination of the four pictures, it is clear to see that the Moroccan Jews of the past were highly melanated beings. Here we see black Jews walking through the Medina. Below we see these same dark-skinned Israelites at the Bab el-Masa in Magador, which was built in 1769 during the reign of Muhammad bin Abdullah as part of the reconstruction of the fortification of the city. As you can see, there is an engraved inscription above the arch as to when and who constructed this forted gate. In this recent picture of the same door, a close and more detailed inscription can be seen.
This picture isn't quite as clear. However, the fourth picture clearly depicts these ancient Israelites who lived in the Medina as melanated people. Wanting to understand more about the pictures, I asked the Guardian, who was unwilling to go on camera, to inform me of what these pictures represent. These were his words.
Is Muslim Jewish together.
Muslim Jewish together.
C'est avant la Deuxième Guerre.
I was not at all surprised by the Guardian's statement. From a Quranic point of view, the term Muslim, meaning one who submits, predates Muhammad. It was time to explore the rooms. In the corner, there was another picture of these black Jews at the Bab el-Masa, and an even more fascinating one on the wall in this dark room. I noticed these old pictures were surrounded by modern photos and portraits of individuals whose appearance were more European than that of the melanated people in the older pictures. Is there a connection, or has someone placed them there with an agenda? I was told that this is Hamin Pinto, the chief rabbi of the Israelites of Magador in the 18th century. This time period coincides with the days of Mohammed bin Abdullah, the Black Sultan of Morocco, and the Black Jews of the Millah, who I prefer to call Israelites. Knowing these historical facts and looking at the portrait of Rabbi Hamin Pinto, is it possible to believe that he was born a Jew from the same stock as the dark-skinned Israelites in these pictures? I have no doubt he existed. Yet looking at the picture portrayed of Hamin Pinto on the wall and knowing the Jews of Magador were black in the 18th century, one has to consider, do we have here another attempt to create conspiracy, another historical cover-up? Is this picture a true representation of Rabbi Hamin Pinto? And if it is a true portrait of him, was he then a missionary who ministered unto the people, who we see in these pictures that resemble our brothers in the motherland regarding their features and appearance? Personally, the portrait of Rabbi Hamin Pinto looks more European Jewish than the Moroccan Sephardic Jew found in the modern state of Israel, and nothing at all like the Jews of Magador in these pictures found in the synagogue. As I made my way upstairs to explore the rest of this restored house and synagogue, there were more paintings, none of which depicted Israelites that looked like the people in the pictures who the guardian of the synagogue spoke of. According to the history of the Medina, the Jews of Magador had great relationship with the Muslims prior to World War II. But it doesn't come as a surprise to me, for according to the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad told the teachings of Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Isa. After all, unification, they were one. Once in the Medina, in this fortified portion of the city, the Jewish community were in the majority here. And they lived side by side with their Muslim brothers and sisters. But what happened? Question after question needs to be asked. Did they intermarry with the locals and no longer practice their way of life? Did they leave? Did they go to the Western Sahara or even to the Algerian desert? What happened to these ancient people? What happened to this ancient Israelite community, to these indigenous black Jews? In the 18th century was born Mohammed bin Abdullah, the son of the Sultan Abdullah, who according to history was much more open-minded than some of the prior sultans. In fact, it's recorded that he made treaty with European countries such as Spain and made trade agreements with the French and the English. I had good working relationships with the Jews of Magador. Mohammed bin Abdullah's grandfather, Musli Ismail ibn Sharif, is said to be so proud of his accomplishments his pride and blackness, and he formed the Black Guard, made up of some of the best and beautifulest of Morocco's tallest and blackest of men. My question is, where did these black Jews of Magador go, who were great tradesmen and had high respect by the sultans of the past? Did they go further south into Africa, deep Africa, or did they mingle with the locals or the traders with who they traded from Europe, intermingling and creating genetic changes, family ties, and alteration of their genes? Who are the Jews of Morocco in the state of Israel today? What happened is my question. Many unanswered questions, much to learn, so much to research. But one thing I do know, that the indigenous Israelites who were here in Magador in the days and during the period of Mohammed ben Abdullah were melanated beings and features and characteristics as those of indigenous Africans. This I am sure of.
When will mankind learn? Distorting historical truth can never bring harmony. Lies only bring more lies and increased confusion. Truth will always surface. This is universal law. Regarding the true identity of the Jews of Magador in the 18th century, history unveils their blackness. The scriptures are no doubt a unique sequence of events. When connected, paints a living picture. A prime example is the theme upon which this documentary is based. The prophecy revealed to Abraham in Genesis 15 verses 13 and 14, and its relation to Deuteronomy 28, and many prophecies to unfold. As the rise in Hebrew consciousness takes place in the West, America comes to mind. But much isn't spoken of regarding the prophecies concerning the Israelites in Europe and the UK, who dwell in the isles of the seas, lands given unto the Gentiles. According to the word of Yah, the salvation of the children of Israel and the nations must come to pass. This documentary aims to connect events and unveil the truth, beginning with the prophecy revealed to our father Abraham. Genesis 15 verses 13 to 14. And the Lord said to Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, and afterwards they shall come out with great substance. For those that believe, this prophecy is referring to the children of Israel being bondmen and bondwomen in Egypt up until the time of Prophet Moses. I assure you, it is not, and I will prove so. According to Exodus 12:40 to 41, now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went up from the land of Egypt. Although it is clear in the scriptures, the children of Israel dwelt in Egypt 430 years and not 400 years. Just to bring an end to misconception, let us calculate the time in the wilderness. Joshua 5 verse 6. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness to all the people that were men of war, which came up out of the land of Egypt, were consumed because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord. Even if one was to add the 400 years prophecy to Abraham at the time in the wilderness, it would mount to 440 years, not 430, as written in the scriptures. An interesting point regarding the prophecy revealed to Abraham is that it states, "And that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards they shall come out with great substance." Exodus 12 verse 35 to 39 reads, "The children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they had brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry. Neither had they prepared for themselves any victual." Indeed, God did judge the Egyptians. However, the children of Israel didn't come out with great substance. Borrowing silver and gold and unleavened cakes. This doesn't sound like the prophecy revealed to Abraham in the book of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 14. The fact that Genesis 15:13 clearly states, "Thy people shall be in a strange land, where they shall not only serve these unfamiliar people, but they will be afflicted by them for a period of time." It's important to understand, from the moment we were taken from the shores of West Africa and enslaved until the day it ended, the servitude was not 400 years. But the affliction we face as a people continues up until today. But no doubt, it is coming to an end. What is conclusive from the prophecy revealed to our father Abraham? There is an undeniable connection between Genesis 13 and 14, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, wherein is found the curses that would befall the children of Yah, and the prophecies revealed by the prophets of Israel regarding our servitude, affliction, and returning with great substances, all by the hands of a strange people. The connection regarding the prophecy revealed to Abraham, Deuteronomy 28, and the prophecy spoken by the prophets, many are directed at the nations of the west, the seed of Japheth, in the isles of the Gentiles. According to the prophet Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 19, "They are people who do not know the fame of our God, neither have seen his glory." Genesis 10 verses 5 supports this truth. It states, "By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations." This is referring to the sons of Japheth. As you can see from the maps and dictionary references, it's the sons of Japheth that inherited Europe and the Isles of the Seas. Note that neither Ham nor Shem's descendants in Genesis 10 are referred to as Gentiles. The prophecy of the Atlantic slave trade carried out by the sons of Japheth is undisputable as we find ourselves in the Western Hemisphere living out these prophecies. Deuteronomy 28:68 states, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spoke unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." There are a few important factors to take into account when reading this verse. Firstly, our ancestors didn't go into Egypt by ships in the days of Prophet Joseph. According to Genesis 46 verse 5, "And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their little ones and their wives, in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. Secondly, entering Egypt again by the way in which the Most High spoke unto our ancestors. Let us take a closer look at the curses written in Deuteronomy 28 to understand the ways in which was prophesied. Verse 36 states, And the Lord shall bring thee, and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there thou shalt serve other gods, wood and stone. Verses 48 to 50. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far. Note, it says, from the ends of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. I want thee to bear in mind, it said, from the ends of the earth. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. Jeremiah also prophesied and spoke of the exact same curse that was to come upon our people. Chapter 6, verses 21 to 23. Therefore thus said the Lord, Behold, I will lay stumbling blocks before this people, and the fathers and their sons together shall fall upon them. The neighbor and the friends shall perish. Thus said the Lord, Behold, a people cometh from the north country, and a great nation shall be raised. Note again it states, from the sides of the earth. They shall lay hold on bow and spear. They are cruel, and have no mercy. Their voices roareth like the seas, and they ride upon horses, set in array as men, for war against thee, O daughter of Zion. Jeremiah refers to these people to be cruel and have no mercy. Moses also describes them as cruel and merciless in Deuteronomy 28, verse 50. They shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. Both Moses and Jeremiah testifies that they shall come from afar, from the ends and sides of the earth, both of which are one and the same, the ends and the side of the earth. No doubt this is referring to descendants of Japheth, according to the table of nations and the lands of their inheritance. Jeremiah states, This nation from the sides of the earth lay hold on bow and spear. Isaiah also testifies that Japheth's offsprings draw the bow, meaning warlike people. And I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, that draw the bow, to Tubal and Javan, to the isles afar off, that have not heard my fame, neither have seen my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles. Before I continue, it is important to note the ends of the earth, the sides of the earth, and the coasts of the earth refers to the region around the isles of the seas. In the isles of the Gentiles, where we also found the isles afar off, which is referring directly to the United Kingdom, also known as the British Isles, on the outskirts of land promised to the descendants of Japheth. Isaiah 49 verse 6 supports these facts as he testifies of the Messiah who is also prophesied to appear in the Western world. And he said, It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my salvation to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. Isaiah 41 verse 5. And the owls saw it, and feared. The ends of the earth were afraid, drew near and came. The owls and the ends, coasts, and sides of the earth are inseparable, and make up a portion of the owls of the Gentiles. Isaiah 41 verse 8 and 9. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob who I have chosen, the seed of Abraham my friend, thou whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called thee from the chief men thereof, and said unto thee, Thou art my servant, I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away. Awake, O ye Israelites in Europe and the UK, hearken to the call of the Father. The isles of the Gentiles are geographically north and northwestern direction from the land of Israel, from Jerusalem, as you see in the map shown. The coasts, sides and ends of the earth are reference points where land connects to water. Jeremiah 31 verses 8 to 10 further supports these claims. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with them the blind, and the lame, and the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. And I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel. Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of the Lord, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattereth Israel will gather him, and keep him, as a shepherd doeth his flock. According to scriptures, Abraham's seeds were not only to serve these strangers, but be afflicted for 400 years, and come out with great substance. Isaiah 60 explains this prophecy very well. This chapter I encourage you to read for oneself. However, for the purpose of connecting prophecy, let's look at verses 9 to 11, and then verse 14. Surely the owls shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish, first to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them. According to the map shown and the Hebrew language, Tarshish is a place in Europe. It goes on to say, And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I have smote thee, but in my favour have I had mercy upon thee. Therefore thy gates shall be opened continuously. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. Verse 14 states, The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Note, these verses not only state that God will judge the Gentiles, who by the will of Yah play a fundamental role, according to the scriptures pertaining to the reparation movement that shall occur and the rebuilding of our forefathers' land. but also speaks of the vibration shift wherein the sons of those that afflicted our ancestors, the sons of the slave masters, will come seeking truth. Earlier verses add validation to what was revealed to Abraham concerning the children of Yah to return with great substance. For if the abundance of the seas, which we know belongs to the Gentiles, and they are converted, humble, and come bowing, then surely their earthly treasures will be given to the true and righteous children of Israel.
Yeah, looking for blood on the street. Struggle, hard times in that community. Yeah, word on the street. Word on the street. Yeah, word on the street.